All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of ASAP Recap. I'm joined by Pride and Dustin. I apologize for all the noise coming from my end. Roof replacement is loud. That's what I'm learning. Roof replacement is loud. So, Pride, how we doing today, man?
I'm good.
Dustin, how about you, man?
I'm still trying to recover from, in my opinion, what was maybe the best first round of the NFL draft ever when you look at the trades and when you look at how everything went down.
It definitely was a crazy night. I think that's for sure. You never knew which way you were going to look. I don't know if you know that meme that's going around, it's like this trend of never let them know what you're doing next. That's what I thought the NFL draft was doing. They just was like, we're never going to let you know what we're doing next. Because anytime you thought you got a grasp, what's going on, Pro?
Did you guys see Jerry Jones, by the way?
Oh my God, that was unbelievable.
So you didn't see it, Dustin?
I was working 9 to 6.
Okay.
Pride, break it down.
So basically what happened was people were questioning whether or not Dallas really wanted Tyler Smith. Like they were actually questioning him. So Jerry Jones actually showed their
draft board.
Their draft board. He actually to prove a point, to prove that they wanted Tyler, he wanted it. And like it was the funniest thing ever. Yeah, I think was it Steven? I think it's Steven Jones who was like, don't do that.
But it was like a joking manner. He's like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Like,
it was party bus central. That's what that interview
was.
was.
All I can say is when the Jaguars passed on Aiden Hutchinson, I've never seen a team run a pick to the podium so damn fast after they announced that first pick.
Oh, yeah,
there was no way the Lions thought they were going to get a chance to get Aiden Hutchinson. They were like, okay, is it going to be Kayvon or is it going to be Trayvon? Which one of the Vons are we going with? And then they said Aiden Hutchinson. Oh crap!
The pick was literally handed to Goodell before Trayvon even got to the stinging podium.
Honestly, and it was unreal. And I was surprised he didn't go number one overall, Aiden Hutchinson. Dustin, I'm going to start with you though. We had a lot of crazy picks, some picks people expected, a lot of picks people didn't expect. What was your favorite pick from last night?
My favorite pick from last night was, I want to say Detroit's second pick, getting Jameson Williams from Alabama, because usually you don't see the interdivision trades too much during the draft. And I know my team was the team that gave Detroit that pick, but I'd rather see Detroit get that pick than, say, a Green Bay that also needed a wide receiver and ended up not taking a wide receiver because everybody they wanted went off the board between 11 and 22. So the fact that Detroit kind of blocked Green Bay from making that move, I really like that pick, and I think Jameson Williams is going to give Detroit a nice 1-2 combo with Armon St. Brown, and then you also have Quintez Cephas in there. I think you might get a little bit more out of Jared Goff this year than what you did last year because now he's got more guys to throw to.
Yeah, I like the pick of Jameson Williams, but Pride made a face, and I got to talk to Pride.
So this is baseball related. So I don't know if you guys know about Trevor Bauer and that whole situation.
Yep.
The league has officially suspended him for 2 years. So
that's what I'm
sure that's the end of his career.
That's what I said to my uncle the other day. My uncle was wondering how he wasn't playing yet. And I'm like, well, because he's on the commissioner exempt list. And my uncle's like, well, why isn't he appealing it? I'm like, because he's actually getting paid. He's actually getting paid to be on the commissioner's exempt list. So he's getting paid $50 million. Why play? Well, now you're not getting paid. So yeah.
Wow, big news.
So, he's suspended. He's gonna be suspended for 2 years. Now since he got suspended, I believe that means his contract is basically going to be voided because by the time he comes back, the contract will be expired.
Yeah, he gets paid for the first year of the contract, and then basically what he's accumulated up to now. The rest of it will get voided.
Wow.
Jeez, but yeah, that's the face. So I did not see that coming. To be honest with you, I didn't think they were going to suspend it for 2 years. I thought they were going to suspend it for the rest of this year.
Mhm.
I was kind of the 2 years is the wild part that kind of hurts my head a little bit,
Yeah.
because
If I,
but
His
yeah,
his reputation has something to do with that though, because he always
that has to be it.
yeah.
the tendency to open his mouth and kind of give you the "I don't give a crap what the MLB says. I'm still gonna be me."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And for
so
those of you who
so it is.
don't know, Trevor Bauer was accused of sexual assault, right? If I remember correctly, he was accused of
Yes,
sexual assault.
yeah. Basically, Shorty said that he basically beat the bricks off her and all that stuff. Text messages was revealed. Turns out she's kinky, so she's into that type of stuff. So that's kind of why they ended up, they were trying to have the charges stick. Pasadena police couldn't. That's kind of why they let it go. So,
But
um,
even at that, even if she is into kinky stuff, as a human being, you know what's crossing the line and what's not crossing the line.
nope, nope. Not when it comes to that stuff, Dustin. Not when it comes because it's this weird line when it comes to that stuff where it's like when women are into that stuff, a lot of them thrive off of the marks that are left. That's kind of where it becomes a slippery slope. You know what I mean? Because like it's just a weird, awkward situation where it's like, okay, maybe she likes being choked, but it's this weird thing where it's like, how hard do you choke? Because there are times where I don't want to get you guys in trouble, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
Go for
I
it,
don't know
Fred.
if
You got it.
whatever. But usually when you're involved with some freaky stuff, the female sometimes says harder, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where it's like, did she say that? And then, Trevor Bauer was like, okay. And then that's what made the marks. Is it a case of she was just like, oh yeah, I like it rough, and he just kind of assumed that was fine? Like, that's kind of like the awkward part of the situation because it's like, it's just so bizarre because it's like some girls like it rough. Apparently, she was one who liked it rough because according to the text messages, she was like, "Yeah, do it again." Like, so she she a kinky one, But at the same time, it's like, you know, the MLB suspending him. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about it. In all honesty,
Because it
because
was
this is
dropped from police matters, right? They basically
it,
dropped the
it, it,
charges.
it was all dropped because when they started looking at the evidence basically lined up with it in essence being consensual. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
this
So
is it's not a Deshaun Watson situation where you got like 15 women accusing them of being like, oh no, it's just a lady saying like, oh yeah, he took it too far, but then the proof is just like her saying like, hey, my apologies, like, hey, I think I was too rough, and she was like, no, you weren't, it was fine. So it's this. I don't know why the MLB suspended him. I think it really goes down to what Dustin said. I think it's just a reputation call, where it's just like you put yourself in that. Like the excuse they're probably going to give is you put yourself in that position, so
Mhm.
therefore you need to have some type of punishment. And since and Dustin, you know this, when it comes to not caring and calling out the MLB, Trevor Bauer does not care. I've never met a guy
He's
who's
thrown himself under the bus to
so
get other
to prove a
people in
point.
trouble.
To prove a 110%. Like, I've never met someone who's that brave to call out their own boss consistently like this.
He's like throwing himself under the bus, saying, "Oh yeah, I use sticky stuff. I
Yeah.
use sticky stuff. I bet you this person, this person, this person does too."
And the crazy part about it is that's why I believe him. Because he's not saying, oh yeah, it wasn't me. Like, he's straight up saying, yeah, I'm doing it. So that's
So
how
these guys,
you know what I mean? So it's like, man, he's like, I kind of gotta believe it. But yeah, 2 years, 324 games that Trevor Bauer is gonna be suspended for. And it's a weird situation where, let's say he stays in shape. I don't know if anybody even wants him.
I was about to ask you. Do you think anyone goes and signs? I know he's a tremendous player when he's on there, but
I
there's a
think
lot of
someone would
baggage
give
that
him.
comes.
I think someone would give him a 1-year prove it flyer deal to see if he is in shape and to see what he can give you. Because even at 2 years, he'll be 33. So you can still get 2 or 3 good years out of him.
Mhm.
Especially since you look at a lot of the pitchers now, like Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Jacob DeGrom. Most of them didn't start pitching. I mean, they were always good pitchers, but most of them didn't start pitching to the level they were at until they got to that 29-30, which is a lot later than a lot of pitchers typically hit their prime. Same thing with Trevor Bauer. When he was in Cleveland, he was a solid pitcher, but he wasn't the pitcher he was now until he got to about that 28, 29 years old with Cincinnati. So he was another one of those pitchers that peaked
Late
later
bloomer.
in his career. So you might still be able to get 2 or 3 years out of him up until he's age 35. So I can see somebody taking a 1-year flyer deal on him and see what he has. And if he shows that he can still pitch, he might get a 3-year, $60 million deal out of that.
So just real quick before we move on. So obviously Trevor Bauer, he's appealing. It's basically so the official thing is violating the domestic violence policy.
Okay.
In every previous case, and by the way, this is Jeff Passan, by the way. So if y'all don't believe me, y'all can come at him. And
There's
this is what he
more.
says.
There's
In
more to
every
it, I
previous-
guess, that I didn't even know.
Yeah, there's so much more. But
Well, it
in
said
every
he's
previous case in which a player was suspended under the policy of the domestic violence policy, it was agreed upon the number of games in which the player would be suspended. So if they went up to him and they said you're suspended for 40 games, the player agreed to it. Bauer did not agree to it. Henceforth, why the appeal is happening. So,
But here's the thing. Here's what he's getting suspended for, though: domestic violence, which you said, sexual assault, which you said, and child abuse. Where did this
I
child
don't know where
abuse
the child
come from?
abuse came. Well, that's something people are now trying to figure out because
That
no
could
one
be
knows
why
what
he's
child
getting the
abuse-
2 years because
That
of that.
would be
If
the
that's-
2 years to me. The child
That
abuse
has to
portion.
be where the 2 years is coming from because the other two things got dropped in court.
So then it's probably
I don't
that
know,
then.
man.
It would have
I
to
don't know,
be that.
man. It's interesting. I mean,
So I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on it.
yeah,
figure
next
out
week I
what
think we
things
might
come
have
out.
an answer. We might have something to talk about next week as well to lead off the show with. Yeah, Trevor Bauer never ceases to stay out of the news. I guess that's his
My bad.
goal.
I didn't mean to like take you
No,
off. It was just
no,
I
man,
saw it,
that's
I
a
was
great
like,
thing.
that's
That
crazy.
hey, this is just we're reacting to stuff, and that's the number one thing to react to at the moment. I'm gonna jump to you, Pride. Dustin said Jameson Williams was his best pick of the night. Who was your best pick of the night?
So for me, I will say, I'm gonna say this because I wanted him, Devin Lloyd, to the Jags.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like Devin Lloyd. Amon, we spoke about it. You know, this is a guy who could do 3-4 sets or 4-3 set. Doesn't matter. You can have him rush. He's great in coverage. He's got solid IQ. I did like that. I really did. I think another one that I actually sort of kind of liked, but at the same time, I don't really know yet. Dustin said Jameson Williams. I thought, and maybe it was just me, I thought the Saints would take the risk on him. I thought they were going to take, because think about it. I know he's recovered from the ACL and he was going to be back for training camp, but it's now indications are looking like Michael Thomas is going to come back. Still got Marquez Callaway. So it's like, you know, for me, I would have rather gotten Jameson for that deep threat. That's just me.
And the one place I'll say is like, do you want to take another risk at receiver, right? Michael Thomas is scheduled to come back, but I have no idea what he's going to do. For me, I think the Saints are saying Chris Olave is there. He's maybe just as good. If we think he's just as good and still doesn't have the floor that's as low, then I think that makes a little bit more sense for them just because the security. If Michael Thomas is saying, yeah, I'm back, I'm better than ever, then sure, you try Jameson Williams and get yourself that over-the-top deep threat. To me, with him being like that scratchy kind of guy, I didn't know where to go for them with Jameson.
So you're looking at it as basically like, even though the indications are there, we don't have a solid yes or no.
Yeah.
So since you're not 100% sure, you'd rather play it safe with Olive.
And I like Olave a lot too.
Olave, I'm sorry.
I like him a lot.
I think the Saints have another deep threat in mind, anyways.
Interesting.
The guy out of North Dakota State.
Interesting. Christian Watson, right? That's his name.
Yep, the one that runs the 4.240.
Yeah. That could be a
You
name.
know what? Honestly, I'm not even mad at that. Because when is their
I'll pull up the draft order right now.
okay? So they got the 17th pick in the second round.
Yep.
He could be there. You're not saying he will. They could move up too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they definitely could. And on top of that, this is a very solid wide receiver class.
Yeah, they can still go get Sky Moore too if they wanted to. So
Right.
interesting. A
Go
lot of
ahead.
places to go. Anthony Price actually talked about my best pick of the night, Jermaine Johnson. This was a guy I said top 10 pick, book it. And when John and Balling did our mock draft, I thought he was going to be in the top 10 so much. When he wasn't, I blanked out of my mind, and he lasted until 24. Well, yesterday he lasted number 26, and the Jets trade back up and they go get him. I don't know why he fell so much, Anthony. I couldn't tell you. I get it that he might be a little bit more of a project than some of these other guys, but he can play.
Way.
He can play. Like when you talk about Trayvon Walker being the number 1 overall pick, I don't know why Jermaine Johnson couldn't have been the number 1 overall pick if Trayvon Walker was as well. I don't see the huge difference. Trayvon Walker can drop back in coverage. Jermaine Johnson can do that as well.
Right.
But he's a tremendous rusher. And for a Jets team that had 0 rush, now you get Jermaine Johnson at the bottom. You get Garrett Wilson. You took him at number 10. And then you also went and got yourself who'd they go get at number 4? Sauce Gardner. You got yourself a corner. To go get those 3 pieces, and especially the value you get of Jermaine Johnson at 26, that was unbelievable. I had no idea why he fell in this draft.
Honestly, that right there, that was my steal of the night.
Yeah,
by
100%.
far, not even close. And it's funny because, I think we talked about Jermaine Johnson before. I think we both agreed that he's a top 10 easily without a shadow of a doubt, no debate at all.
Yeah.
And Trayvon Walker going first confused me a little bit because I thought in my mind I had him as the third. Defensive end going out. I thought it was going to be Hutchinson, then Thibodeau, and then after that Walker.
Yep.
But I'm starting to look down, and I'm like, all right, relax. And then it also kind of, at first I was confused, but when you actually break it down, it kind of makes sense because Walker goes 1, defensive end, right? Hutchinson goes 2.
Yep.
Then Thibodeau goes 5th, right?
Yep.
The next defensive end that is picked up, guess what? Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah.
So, when you really look at it, it kind of looked like, I don't think that it was anything, because at first I thought people must have had a bad idea with him. But the more I look at it, think about it.
Yeah.
It was Thibodeau, and then offensive tackle, wide receiver, offensive tackle, 3 wide receivers, then a defensive tackle.
Yep.
Going to Philly, then a safety, right? Then offensive guard, wide receiver, offensive guard, tackle. A lot of the positions are positions he doesn't play.
Yeah.
Which is so I don't think that it was because he's bad or anything.
It might have been a need base, 100%.
That's what I'm assuming.
That's the only thing I can think of. And that makes a lot of sense. And still, at 26, this is a guy who, regardless of position, was right. I had maybe a top 10 player. Going to 26, the Jets, you hit a great pick there.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. No one has messed up on their draft yet.
I don't think there's and maybe Dallas. Maybe Dallas. Maybe.
We got some more breaking news that just came in too.
Uh-oh.
It's college basketball related.
Break it down, Dustin. Break it down.
John Shire has hired Kentucky's Jai Lucas as his assistant coach. It's the first hire from outside of the Duke family since 1995.
I was about to say.
And Jai Lucas is Kentucky's number 1 recruiter under Calipari. So not only do you have Duke's number 1 recruiter the last 4 years under Krzyzewski, you just brought Kentucky's number 1 recruiter and Jai Lucas over with you.
Oh man, I'm gonna be a Tar Heel next year, dude.
Ooh,
hey, we're bringing the starting 5 back, but man, to get that back in there for Duke, and Duke fans who think they're gonna miss a beat, it ain't happening. It ain't happening.
Dare I say, I think you actually
I told you
take off better.
What did I say? I said they win the championship next year. We talked about it right here. I said I thought they were gonna go back and do it. That was just me.
Bro.
That just
I wouldn't
me.
be surprised.
Dustin, we're sticking in the NFL draft. What was your worst pick or least favorite pick from the night? I know Pride's already, right? We know what Pride's going to say. But I don't know what you're going to say, Dustin. I'm curious. What was your least favorite pick of the night?
I don't necessarily know if I have a least favorite pick, mainly because you don't know how any of these players are going to do until you see them on the field.
Right.
I just laugh at Green Bay now taking a wide receiver.
Okay.
Literally.
All right.
I mean, you knew they needed some defense, so I'm okay with them going a linebacker at 22, even though I think it was a bit of a reach to take that guy at 22, but it is what it is. But at pick 28, they had to get a wide receiver there because now you circle back to the second round. Yes, there's a lot of wide receiver talent left out there, but I guarantee all of them, if not most of them, are going to be gone before the Packers come back on the clock again.
Yeah.
And you had a team like Detroit that jumped up 20 positions to get Jameson Williams. Why are you not trying to jump up and take the guy that you wanted, Traylon Burks, at 18? I know he got traded by Philly, but why aren't you trying to beat Philly to the punch to get Traylon Burks? Why aren't you trying to go get the guy out of North Dakota State? Why aren't you trying to go get John Meach, even though he's hurt? Why aren't you trying to make a move to go and make this move? Now you watch the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday, and Aaron Rodgers is semi-regretting coming back at this point because when he made the decision to come back, he told Pat McAfee he was basing it on Adam still being in Green Bay.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that. Don't worry. We're getting to that one. So, Pride, go off. Tell us why Kenny Pickett was not the pick to be made by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
By far, this was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm watching the draft, and the Saints are not, they picked Trevor Penning, and I go in the group chat. I'm like, so far has not been a dumb pick yet. Dun 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 dun, and then all of a sudden I look and it's Kenny Pickett, and I'm like, well, there it went.
It is.
Like, by far, this was completely and utterly a pathetic, stupid, low IQ pick. I don't care what anybody says. This is not like. I've been asking people, explain to me why, and like nobody can give me an answer on why they can make an explanation on why any one of these quarterbacks is a first round pick.
Well,
right? Nobody
Amon and I kind of gave our thoughts backstage on why Kenny Pickett was picked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I have a theory.
No, I know. The reason they didn't get Malik Willis is because of the entire Dwayne Haskins situation.
Nope.
Oh no, I have another theory.
We have another theory.
Well, the route I'm gonna go with the whole thing of Dwayne Haskins passing away. I think they don't want anyone to replace him, and Malik Willis kind of has a little bit of that play style. So I felt like if you put in Malik Willis, it's kind of like a PR thing. We don't want to make this kid all of a sudden people want to compare him to Dwayne Haskins because you know what I mean? Like if you play horrible, they're gonna start coming at you. You know what I mean? And again, you're a black mobile quarterback. That's what Dwayne Haskins was. Unfortunately, he died. And you know what I mean? Like with that whole situation, you know what I mean? So, that's the route I went. But before I go on my whole thing, why do you think Kenny Pickett? I'm curious.
It goes back to way before my time on this earth. It goes back to 1983, where the Pittsburgh Steelers took a defensive lineman instead of taking a quarterback out of Pittsburgh. That quarterback out of Pittsburgh went on to go to a Super Bowl and be a Hall of Famer for the Miami Dolphins. They passed on Dan Marino from the University of Pittsburgh. So when I saw it, I said, they're doing this because they don't want to run into another Dan Marino situation. Is Kenny Pickett Dan Marino? Absolutely not. I don't think so. And if he does, good on you, Kenny. But to me, if that's what it felt like, I couldn't find another reason why you take him over Malik Willis, because Malik Willis to me has more room to grow and has a higher ceiling. So you can wait 3 years with Trubisky and have Malik Willis in a better spot. Because Kenny Pickett, to me, if you want to plug and play now, he's better than Malik. But in 3 years, if you brought him up in the same system, I think Malik ends up being better than Kenny. So to me, it felt like it's a Pittsburgh move. And
here's my thing, and the reason why I think Kenny Pickett going to Pittsburgh is dumb is you want to know why? In 3 years, guess where you're going to be? Back in the draft looking for a quarterback.
That's
exactly that's so my thing was I would rather them have done something else, right? Go like defensively, they're fine. This is where I would have gotten a receiver.
You could have
get a receiver, you know what I mean? Get someone that can run routes, you know, to kind of replace Juju. If you really want to if you really want, get another offensive lineman. That would have been fine. You know what I mean? Get something like
Tyler
that.
Linderbaum was available at this point in the
Yeah,
draft.
he was still available. You know what I mean? So you could have done that, then been able to just ride with Mitchell Trubisky, ride with him just for like 2 years. It's a relatively cheap deal.
I
I
agree.
think,
Ride with him in
I
2
think they
years.
only ride with him 1 year because I think, like I told Amand also, I think Trubisky is traded to New York next year with Daniel Jones being gone.
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, no, because Daniel Jones is going to be there next year.
No, they declined his 5th year option.
Yeah, but this is his 4th year.
Yeah, so he plays this year, and then next year he's gone because it'd be his 5th year next year.
Oh my God, I'm saying next year, but meanwhile, technically speaking, we are in the new season because of
I think with Joe,
we're saying the same thing, but my stupid self is like, I'm just lost in the timeline. So
with
you're
Brian Dable and Joe Shane coming from Buffalo, there's a reason why they declined his option, and knowing that they have Trubisky under multiple years of control after this year, I see a similar situation to when the Bears signed Mike Glennon and then ended up trading for Trubisky 2 months after they signed Mike Glennon. Glennon gets hurt 5 games into the season. Trubisky takes over, and Glennon's looking for another job. I don't think that happens this year. I think Kenny Pickett sits for most of the year unless Trubisky gets hurt. But I see Steelers committing to Pickett next year, and then with Daniel Jones being out of the picture, you see Giants pull the trade to bring Trubisky back with Brian Dable.
Well, you would have to stick with Pickett. You would have to. You would have no choice. Not picking him right now. You would have to.
Because you had your pick of any quarterback in the draft. Any quarterback
you had no choice but to roll with them. And it's funny.
You didn't have to pick a quarterback either. It's not like you had to this year anyway.
And Amon, I remember us talking, and I said at most, how many quarterbacks did I say at most would be drafted in the first round?
I think you said at most there'd be 2. But you said there should be 0. Oh, okay.
I was like, there should be 0, but I said there was going to be 1.
Okay.
I thought there was going to be
3 or 4.
I said 2 for sure, and I put a third as a possibility at pick 32.
No, I thought honestly, I thought there was only one team that would do that, and it's honestly the only team who was sucking these quarterbacks dry, which was Pittsburgh.
Right.
Like Carolina was kind of doing their research, but it wasn't like they were just kind of looking and poking and prodding and seeing. Steelers were like, oh my God, we got to get a quarterback. We got to get a quarterback. And it's like, I'm here. Give me a contract. Like that's
I'm in your building. I'm in your building already. Just, drop it off at my locker tomorrow morning. I'll be there.
Right. Like, yo, where's HR so I can get the direct deposit set up? Like, so for me is like you should have just rolled with Mitchell Trubisky. Because next year and the year after, the quarterback, it's going to be so much deeper.
I think it'll be better.
Way better because you're gonna have what's his face,
Bryce Young,
CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. And then if Rattler comes together, if TJ Uiagalelei comes together,
Rattler only has like 4 good games, his stock is going to go back to the roof. People forget this. Even when he was benched, there were mock drafts had him still going in the top 10, and he was benched.
Yeah.
So if he just has a neat little run, his stock is going up. So it's this thing where it's like you don't have to reach here because you have talent everywhere else. And in the next 2 years, the quarterback class is going to be relatively solid. It won't be as great as last year, but it'll be way better than this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It'll be way better. So it's like,
speaking of 1983, like you had 1983, there was I think 5 or 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Elway to Marino, and then 84, Boomer Esiason was the best quarterback taken. There's very few quarterbacks taken. It's like the same kind of thing. You had 5 quarterbacks taken last year, great class, and this year you had 1 in the first round. I'm not saying there's not going to be any good quarterbacks come out, but likelihood that might be 1. Last year, you're thinking 2 or 3 of them could at least be very good starters.
Right.
This year, you're looking at 1 of them if everything goes right.
Right. Which if you need to hope and pray everything goes right for you to have something, that's a problem.
Yeah, it is. It is. Speaking of problems, Aaron Rodgers had a problem with what the Green Bay Packers did after he signed his contract. He signed apparently. So I read the report when he initially signed and Devontae got traded that he knew this was going to happen. I thought most people had read that report.
Yes.
But then he goes on his best friend, Pat McAfee's show. I love that show. To be honest, that's a great show.
Oh, yeah, I love it too.
And he goes, yeah, I thought Devontae was going to sign back when I signed. So now, Aaron Rodgers thought his number 1 receiver is going to come back. Nope. And the Packers did not spend either of their 2 first-round picks getting themselves a wide receiver. what's going to happen with this whole Aaron Rodgers situation? Because we're going to be, I think, here right next year talking about the same stuff. Is Aaron Rodgers going to retire? Is he going to force a trade? Is he going to play another year? They say it's a 3-year deal. It's 3 one-year deals when it's broken down. So he has the option to opt out pretty much at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Pride, do you think this affects what Aaron Rodgers is seeing with the Packers now and what they could end up being next year?
No. 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 Like, this is something. Aaron Rodgers is the type of dude that always wants to be looked at as the bad guy, even when he's doing, or as the good guy, even though he's doing the bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you really wanted Devontae Adams so bad,
take less money.
Forget taking less money. You would have went to the organization and you would have made sure that Devontae Adams signed first before you did anything. Now, for him to be like, oh, I don't know, they're not like, listen, I would put it to you this way. I'm glad the Packers did not get him any offensive help. I'm so glad, 110%, because he is the reason Devontae Adams is not there.
That's what all the reports are telling me.
So you deserve this. You deserve it 110%. If you want to be mad at anybody, be mad at yourself. That's first and foremost. Then if you want to be mad at me, go ahead. But you need a lot of your anger needs to be directed to yourself. Okay? Aaron Rodgers right now is what the problem was when he thought, when they would trade Devontae Adams, for some reason, he thought, and this is reported, he thought the Packers were going to get another wide receiver in the free agent market.
How?
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, because Aaron Rodgers is what I call an idiot.
It's more expensive to go anywhere else than to go in-house. Okay. All right,
Exactly. Like he believed, okay, if we get rid of Devontae Adams, yeah, it sucks. However, we'll be able to take more. We'll be able to go get somebody else. AJ Brown has having his issues. He thought they can get them. Which again, the 3 names that he thought they would have a common theme. AJ Brown, and then there were rumors that he was looking at, oh yeah, well, Tyreek Hill too, and then Debo. Can anyone tell me what the main theme between those 3 gentlemen are?
Cash money.
Interesting. What is something that the Packers do not have?
The kind of cash money to give them that they want.
For a guy who's so smart on the football field, bro, you're dumb. Because the reason you guys can't get them is why? Because they're paying you how much? Like, it's an awful look to him for him to say, "Oh yeah, I didn't know," because that makes no sense. If you truly thought he was going to be back, he would have signed the extension beforehand. And on top of that, you want to know what the weird part about it? Anyone else find it suspicious that as soon as Aaron Rodgers signed, that's when Devontae Adams trade went DEFCON 3 or DEFCON 5, however DEFCON shit
because
works.
That's when the Packers, I think, finally came. The Packers and their fans, to me, were naive to think that they could afford both of them. And we were talking about it on the morning show for so long that none of us saw how they physically could possibly sign both, knowing how much money they were over the cap at the end of last season.
But Dustin, here's the thing, though. I don't think I do agree with you saying the fans were naive. I don't think the organization was naive. Because I think they had a come to Jesus moment. What are we better off having? Aaron Rodgers and all of this, or keeping Devontae Adams and having Jordan Love be our quarterback?
But now you have to look at it though. It's not just Devontae Adams gone. It's Valdes-Scantling gone. His number 2, who's in Kansas City. It's Equanimeous St. Brown, who went to Chicago, who, yes, he hasn't done much since he's been drafted, but was looked at to be the team's number 2 or number 3 option this year. So right now, your number 1 option is Randall Cobb, who is not a number 1 option, and Alan Lazard, who is not a number 2. And then you have Amari Rodgers, who you drafted last year. That is your receiving core right now. You don't have a deep ball threat. You don't have a ton of size outside of Alan Lazard, who's like 6'5". But you now went from having Adams and Scantling to having the slowest receiver core in the NFL because Cobb and Lazard are not burners at all.
Here's my thing with that. Words are hard. Don't listen to me. Go ahead, man.
I think the interesting part. Remember, you said that they thought Aaron Rodgers thought they could go get another free agent receiver. The Packers did try to get another guy through a trade, and Devontae Parker. He chose Mac Jones over Aaron Rodgers.
What does that tell you?
That's the point. What does that tell you? The reports are Devontae Adams was never close to Aaron Rodgers. They were close on the field, but they weren't hanging out. They weren't having a good time outside. He wasn't part of that circle.
But who does that with Aaron Rodgers, though?
Very few people. David Bakhtiari might be the only guy I can name.
And even then, they're not even that close like that.
So it's
Like,
look, I don't know what Aaron is thinking that you can go get free agent receivers. Tom Brady can get guys to come to wherever he's at because people like playing with Tom Brady.
Yep.
Like, that's just the truth of the matter.
The only thing that I could see happening, I touched on this too before the show, Pride, is keep an eye on Terry McLaurin.
I was just about to get there.
Because there are rumors that the Packers are trying to trade Jordan Love to Washington with picks to get Terry McLaurin.
I wouldn't like that, though, because Terry McLaurin is another receiver who wants
He's not going to get $25 million, though. He's going to be able to get $17 to $20 million, which the Packers are in that salary cap range right now, that 17 to 20 range.
How many years does Terry McLaurin have left on his deal? 1 or 2?
He's got this year plus his 5th-year option next year.
So if he's willing to play,
which is a team. I think it's a team option, correct?
So yeah, the Packers could have him easily. They could have him for 2 years now for cheap, and then by the time it comes time to extend him, then they can restructure Aaron Jones' contract or restructure somebody else's contract before it gets
restructure Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones took a team-friendly deal to come back.
I know he did.
Like that's the craziest part about it. If you were to trade for Terry McLaurin, first you have to say, is he willing to play for cheap on the 5th-year option? Because if he is, great.
He'll have no choice.
He could sit out.
I think he would just to be with Aaron Rodgers for 1 year. That's the thing. I think, oh, yeah, I'm playing with Aaron Rodgers as opposed to Heineke. Yeah, I'll play for cheap, but you better pay me when that 5th-year option's up.
That's the thing. I don't think they're going to pay him. They're going to say, okay, we'll get 2 years of you with Rodgers, and you can go walk. We'll find somebody else in 2 years, but we'll get you for now. But I don't think they can pay him because they're going to be on the books for 3 years with Rodgers.
But you can.
I don't see where you can faster the money. Then you're just basically cutting Preston Smith away.
No, because Aaron Jones his contract will be up.
Contract will be up, right? Yeah.
Aaron Jones' contract will be up by the time McLaurin's deal is done. That's why it makes sense because Packers can have him for cheap now, and then Jones' contract will be up. So I don't see the Packers re-signing him again.
But you don't get a second contract with Aaron Jones either. Like
no.
I was about to say, then you would let Aaron Jones walk.
Yeah.
And then you would have A.J. Dillon.
AJ Dillon. He's playing well. I mean,
I like AJ Dillon. Yeah, I mean, I
like the pick when they made it. I had Packers fans yelling at me, and I was like, "It's a good pick. Relax."
It's a great pick. I like it. I like that pick. But, I mean, it's awkward, dog. It's an awkward situation where, honestly, the Packers are in an even worse place than a rebuild.
Yeah, they're stuck.
Exactly. You're in purgatory. At least Detroit knows, bro. We're horrible, but we're going to get younger talent. You know what I mean? Same thing with the Jags. We're building something. Like the Packers, they're not rebuilding, but they're not legit either.
Nope.
They're stuck in no man's land, where it's like, so what's the next move, boss? Like, and then Aaron, but. Again,
what's the next move we can't make to lose in the NFC title again?
It's just to me, it just doesn't make sense.
The Packers never make sense.
Why he's upset?
I just don't get it.
Definitely not them. But it's also Aaron Rodgers.
Oh no, 100%. The whole situation's just it's screwed from the core. It's just a mess.
Bro,
I think they kind of said, okay, it's fine. They bought him when the baby's crying, you buy him a candy bar, just shut him up.
Right.
Keep doing it. They keep getting entitled and it's spoiled, and that's just kind of how it feels now with Aaron.
And that's kind of why I said this too. Like, name another organization that would have let their quarterback continue to do this.
There's not many, man.
The Packers are really the only organization I can think of because Brett Favre did the same thing to a point. He didn't demand for more money like Rodgers did, but he played the whole "I'm gonna retire, I'm gonna unretire" game for 3 years. And the organization let him get away with it to the point where they're like, well, we have Rodgers now, so we can part ways.
Right.
Rodgers has been doing this for the last 6 or 7 years, and the organization just lets him do it. They let him push him around. They let him basically run everything on that team. That they're the ones that put themselves in this position, because the longer you let somebody do this, the harder and harder it is going to be for you as an organization to tell him no, because if you tell him no, he's going to leave. If you don't do what he wants you to do, he's going to leave. So now you're stuck because you let him get away with it for so long.
Yeah, it's just a bad look for them. And we'll move on, because you know what, we could spend 3 hours talking about the Packers and still basically end up nowhere, because that's where the Packers always end up. There were receivers moved around all over the place yesterday. There's 2 trades specifically that I want to talk to you about, Dustin. We had A.J. Brown being sent to the Eagles, and we had Hollywood Brown being sent to the Cardinals. So, Dustin, I'm going to ask you, which of the 2 receivers do you think has more success in their new home?
Before I say that, what does this mean for Lamar Jackson and his future?
Oh, that is something we'll get into. That is,
But
yes.
by bringing in Hollywood Brown, I think it's a given that Kyler Murray's going to come back and play, even without a new contract, because they did pick up his 5th-year option anyways, so he was going to have that, but he said he wasn't going to play until he gets a new contract. Well, he lost Christian Kirk, and now you replaced him with Hollywood Brown, who I think is better than Christian Kirk. Now we have Murray's going to be like, well, we have Hopkins healthy. I just replaced Christian Kirk for a younger, better version of himself in Hollywood Brown, who was the number 1 with Baltimore. Still have A.J. Green. So, yes, my weapons are fine. And then you have a guy like A.J. Brown, who I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts yet.
Yeah.
So I think Brown's going to be the one that struggles more so than Hollywood. But A.J. Brown is the classic Philadelphia, basically making up for the mistakes they made the last year by not drafting Jefferson and by not drafting DK Metcalf. This was their way of saying, yep, we done messed up by taking Arthea Whiteside over Metcalf. We done messed up by taking Rieger over Jefferson. This is how we can at least attempt to make that up, and let's go get A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hollywood has more immediate success because I think his quarterback at this stage is better. Jalen Hurts, can he keep moving? I don't know. Andy Price does have a question for you, stat guy. Who has more drop catches? Is it Kirk or is it Hollywood?
Hollywood had more drop catches last year. But I'm not blaming all that on him. I'm blaming that on Lamar Jackson, too, because Lamar Jackson didn't put him in good enough positions to make some of those catches.
Yeah. But I think Hollywood Brown has the most success right now. Again, you talk about a guy who's going to come into a situation, does not have to be a number 1, does not have to be even a number 2, really. He probably will be a number 2, but you're talking about like a 2A, 2B kind of situation. He gets the whole middle of the field to himself, gets to use his speed down the field. I think he'll have a lot of fun, a lot of success there. Again, A.J. Brown, he's going from a subpar quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion, to a quarterback who at this point in his career is pretty subpar. He's going to put out some really bad balls, and you're going to have to go up and make some really tough catches. If he continues to develop, great. If not, you're going to be looking for a new quarterback at some point. But big body can go and block if they want to go run scheme, gets down the field, can play possession. So I think it's a good thing for him. I think they'll pay him, and I think he'll fit with Nick Sirianni as well. But I think Hollywood Brown has the most immediate success out of the 2 of them, just because I think his quarterback play is going to be a lot better. Pride, I don't know if you can hear me right now, but yes, he's shaking his head. So there we go. Hollywood gets traded. AJ gets traded. Out of the 2, which has more success immediately?
It's a weird question, because if you look at it, Hollywood has the better quarterback right now, but he's not going to get as many chances as AJ Brown.
Right.
So it's really an awkward. It's an awkward kind of question. I'm gonna go with AJ Brown.
Okay.
Only because I'm not as down on Jalen Hurts as Dustin. I like Jalen Hurts. I think right now he is in a situation where Philly needs to figure out whether or not we really want him, whether we trust him, whether we rock with him. So they're going to have to kind of give him that opportunity. They're going to have to open up the playbook, see what's going on, see what we got with the kid. Can you throw it, all this, that, and the third? So you now give him A.J. Brown, who is a legitimate top receiver in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. I got people telling me that he's not better than Tyreek Hill. I'm like, all right, whatever drug you're on, give me some, because I need some of it, because the delusion is real. But for me, I think right now, I think they both have success, but I'm gonna lean over on the side of AJ Brown because I believe he's gonna have more chances. He's gonna have
Right.
more attempts to have success because he's the clear cut number one.
Yeah,
The
100%.
clear cut, and it's not even close.
Not even close.
Hollywood is probably he's gonna be the number two, but even then, there's gonna be games where perhaps he might even be the three. Because remember, with when it comes to the Cardinals, the way they use their wide receivers outside of D Hop, it's interchangeable.
Yeah.
They whoever if Kyler Murray throws it and all of a sudden AJ Green pulls it down and he has a great, you know what I mean, and he's got a couple touches before heading into like in the middle of the first, and they score a touchdown. Guess who's the number two for that game? AJ Green.
And they still have Rondale Moore too.
Yeah, you got Rondale.
And they use the running back in the passing game a lot as well.
Exactly. Yeah, they use James Conner, so it's like he's now going to a situation where he's now going to lose touches. You know what I mean? So, I do think they'll use him more in the deep shot as like a deep receiver. You know what I mean? They're probably gonna just have him run flies because he's pretty good with that. You know what I mean? He's pretty good when it comes to just running the straight flies. So they'll probably do that because think about it. What other use would they have of Hollywood?
Right. You need the deep. It's the Christian Kirk type of mode. You can run from the slot, just basically run past your linebacker.
Right. Exactly. So it's like there's no other other spot he could fill outside of just being that deep threat. And he's solid at being that deep threat. He's pretty solid, you know. But the problem is AJ Brown. He could be the deep threat. He could be a short threat. He could be a medium threat.
He has 8 boxes. Checks all.
Yeah, he's got it all. So, but if I got to pick, I'm gonna go AJ Brown.
Yeah, it should be fun to see those two in new jerseys. That's fun, New Jersey. New jerseys. This upcoming year, we're gonna transition into the NBA though, because the first round of the playoffs are almost over. We had 3 series end last night. We had the Philadelphia 76ers taking down the Toronto Raptors, the Phoenix Suns taking down the New Orleans Pelicans with a perfect night from CP3, and the Mavericks taking it down the Utah Jazz. Sorry, Pride. Donovan Mitchell could not will his way over Game 6. Dustin, Philly finally gets maybe a dominant game over Toronto. Does this re-solidify them as the best team in the East? I wouldn't say the best team, but as the team right next to the Celtics as the best team in the East?
I don't think so, because I think based off of how Philly looked the 2 games prior to getting to Game 6, there was a lot of cause for concern, and there was a lot of, Doc Rivers is going to blow another one. Yeah. Well, Philly showed that even Doc Rivers can't blow this one, so they kind of saved him on that. I realistically think right now Boston is the best team in the East, and it's not even close at this point. But I think they are playing the second best team in the East in the second round in Milwaukee, just because all of a sudden Grayson Allen has come out of nowhere to take over for Chris Middleton, and Bucks aren't missing a beat. And he's realistically even looked a little bit better than Chris Middleton has. So that's something now for Milwaukee fans to take into consideration, where if the Bucks beat the Celtics, which I'm not picking them to do that, but if the Bucks were to beat the Celtics and Middleton is available to come back in the conference finals, do you start him or do you stick with Grayson Allen, who's playing the best basketball he's played in his career?
Right. Yeah. It'd be an interesting conversation when it gets there, but it won't get there. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. The conversation won't come up. But for me, Philly just hasn't looked the part at all. I don't trust them. I don't trust James Harden, but this game is, again, another step in the right direction for James after 2 steps back. Pride, what do you think about it? Do you think, Philly seeing James Harden finally put up 20-plus points in the playoffs, do you think they finally feel comfortable enough to say, yeah, okay, we're there, we're ready for it?
So first, real quick, because I want to answer Dustin's question on if Milwaukee wins, do you put in? I don't think so. But I do want to answer this question. I think it depends on how Grayson Allen continues to play. Mm-hmm. If you have Grayson Allen averaging 20 for the series, then yes. If he averaged 20 against the Celtics, I would let him come in, and then I would have Middleton come off the bench. If he all of a sudden starts coming back down to earth, then I would go and put Middleton out there. So for me, it comes like this series right here. If Chris Middleton ends up missing the Eastern Conference Finals, this series will let it. Oh, I'm sorry. If he misses the semis and can come back for the Eastern Conference Final, this series will let me know who am I going with, Grayson Allen or Chris Middleton. Because again, Chris Middleton is averaging 20 on it doesn't be 50 shooting, even if it's like 47. If he's on that, I would, you know what?
You both say this, and this is putting no disrespect on Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, Pride or Amon, so don't take it this way. Could you say that Philadelphia has the best player in the playoffs in Joel Embiid, but quite possibly the worst coach?
No.
You're talking about in the East or in the whole?
In the East, like the Joel Embiid.
Are you talking about the remaining teams?
With the remaining teams left in the East, does Philadelphia have the best player in Joel Embiid because he's been playing like that MVP pretty much all season, but quite possibly the worst coach because Doc Rivers does not have a ton of playoff success compared to Budenholzer and Spoelstra, and then obviously Ime Udoka as a rookie head coach. You really can't put much on him yet.
I think I'd give a nudge to Giannis, to be honest with you, in terms of the player conversation.
Shoot, I'm about to go Jason Tatum. Shoot.
Hey, I'm
and honestly, and for the coach, I don't even think Doc is the worst. I think Mike Budenholzer is, in all honesty.
He was about to get fired before they won the chip. Like I think we forget the conversation was if they don't get out of there, he's going to be fired. There was no.
Yeah. So I would give it to Mike Budenholzer as the worst coach. But you saying that, Dustin, like you're not out of pocket. Like if
it's not
you
crazy.
telling me that, like if you're telling me that, there's probably people who are gonna agree with you in the world. Because like I believe right now to say who's the best in the East, I think it's kind of close. And for the worst coach, I think, like I said, I think it's between Doc Rivers and Mike Budenholzer. I really do. I think it's between them. I mean, maybe Ime, if you want to say, because of his lack of experience in the playoffs, but
least tested guy. But I don't.
I don't know.
Worst coach conversation is tricky. I think that one's tricky.
Yeah, so I don't even know. I think you could say he's the least experienced, but even then, I don't know. But for me, looking at Philly, I think because Philly's they play Miami, right?
Yep.
I got Philly beating Miami.
You said in 5, right, this morning?
Yeah, 5, maybe 6. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna say 6. Can I change my mind and say 6?
Go for it, dude. This series hasn't started yet.
I'm gonna say 6. Yeah, I'm gonna say Philly in 6.
Okay.
Because I think James Harden gonna sell a game.
Doc Rivers has coached 198 games in the playoffs and has a .505 winning percentage. But take away his time in the Clippers and in Boston, he's had an under 500 playoff percentage. Erik Spoelstra has a .601 winning percentage.
Can we take away his time with LeBron?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but he's still done well with LeBron. And then Mike Budenholzer has the third highest winning percentage all time in the playoffs at .648.
He's been in the playoffs how many years though? What?
All 5 years with Atlanta. Got Atlanta to the second round every year plus the conference finals with Atlanta. And then he went to Milwaukee. He's got Milwaukee in the second round every year but that first time.
It's interesting.
Still Mike Budenholzer.
I think Doc Rivers has been the coach for a lot longer, right? He's been coaching for before so I don't know. That's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, you gotta remember, like, and he makes a good point. Like when people bring up the 3-1, we do need to put some context on it.
The Orlando
I'm
Magic
getting
3-1.
Like against Orlando?
Or against Detroit. Against Detroit.
Oh yeah, when he was in Orlando against Detroit, they were a seed. So I understand that. But to me, it's funny because he had Tracy McGrady looking like a fool. He was like, I can't wait to get out of the first round. He had Tracy McGrady. So honest, I've never seen a guy so excited about getting out of the first round all of a sudden, right? But then there were a couple times with the Clippers. Those were injuries. Like, we also need to understand, like, we got to stop pretending he just choked it. Like, those were injuries. In my opinion, the only 3-1 I'm killing him for is that last one against Denver. Yeah. That one, I'm killing him. And the only reason why I'm not going to kill for the Orlando one is because that Pistons team he beat, like he said, they won the chip that year. And if you want more context, guess who they beat? They beat Shaq and Kobe in 5.
Yeah.
In 5. So it's like, You know what I mean? Like, I get the
I'm
Orlando
with you,
one.
Brad, on that.
It's that last Clippers one.
Yes.
That is a horrible look for him.
Especially when that team, everyone says that's the team that was going to win the NBA championship. When they got Kawhi, when they got Paul, and you talk about all the talent they had, everyone's sitting there saying, I sat there saying, this is the best team in the NBA, and I don't think it's close. And you blow a 3-1 lead to a good Nuggets team, but it's a young, inexperienced Nuggets team. That's the bad look. I think that one's the one that he's never going to be able to shake. The other two, I think we can cut him some slack. So I think what's going to end up being our last topic of the day is going to be Zion Williamson. Reports just come out. Again, we've been trying to figure out what Zion doing. We see him do the windmill dunks, 360s, all that. The report now is that Zion Williamson is eager to sign a deal with the New Orleans Pelicans and wants it done ASAP, as soon as possible. Now, this is a very different tone.
What you meant, all sports, all plays.
That's how I remembered it, because I was reading the little thing on the top right. I was like, what's the acronym? I was like, there we go, as soon as possible. Now, again, I think we all had the thought process that, okay, Zion isn't going to play another game in New Orleans. He's going to try to force his way out. Well, Dustin, what do you think caused the switch? And do you think it happens very quickly, Zion getting this contract?
I think what caused the switch is bringing in CJ McCollum and showing Zion Williamson that they're willing to add more pieces around him and Brandon Ingram to help them win. And then seeing how much of a battle they gave Phoenix in the first round. And now you can go to Zion and be like, we took Phoenix 6 games, almost took them 7 games, and you weren't here. We had CJ McCollum for 27 games, and we went 18 and 9 with CJ McCollum to go from the 13 seed in the West to the 10 seed, and then played our way into the tournament without you being here. You come back to the equation and you come back to our roster, we're a much better team, and we're possibly a top 4 team next year if we keep everybody intact. And I think Zion saw that. I think Zion saw that the team is willing to put more pieces in that organization to help him out, to help Brandon out, to help just everybody on that team out, that now it's like, okay, they're willing to invest in me to make a winning roster. I guess I can invest in them to be the superstar that they want me to be.
Pride, how about you? What do you think is a CJ McCollum thing, or do you think there's another thing that caused the switch of the flip for or the flip of the switch, rather? That's the saying. The flip of the switch for Zion Williamson.
So first and foremost, just want to let y'all know, Aaron Rodgers wanted the Packers to draft Traylon Burks. So
okay, nice. Well,
Bozo's gonna retire. Get him out of
there. Well, I mean, give Tennessee credit because they replaced AJ Brown with a similar player for a fraction of the price.
Brilliant. Yep.
Yeah, again, not really. Not really, only because you're in a win now mode. But teach their own.
Right, you know, but at least you did something to do it, right? You made a smart pick. It's a smart pick.
You're right, because at the bare minimum, you did trade someone in. For all we know, he could be like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, where it's like an immediate impact on the field. So it could be that.
Yeah. All so right. Zion, Pride, how we feeling?
For Zion, I actually wrote an article about this.
Oh.
And because I've been saying, if I'm Zion, I stay. There's no way I consider going anywhere else.
Okay.
And I said they should stay for 3 simple reasons. First and foremost, your team has been protecting you. They didn't come out and do you wrong. They didn't say, where, oh my God, where is this guy? Where's that? They didn't do that. They've been protecting you. Mm-hmm. They've been holding you down. So that's 1. 2, even if you disagree with them not playing you, they're not playing you because of your own good. I call this the bizarro version of Kawhi Leonard, where Kawhi Leonard said he wasn't healthy. The Spurs says he was, and look how that ended up. This is different because Zion says he's healthy, but the Pelicans are like, look, man, we would rather you just wait, relax, shut it down, and then come back next year. That way we can hit the ground running next year, and we're all good. So that's 2. And then 3, which I think is the most important one, to Dustin's point, you got a more confident Brandon Ingram. You have CJ McCollum, and this is honestly what I believe is going to be the true linchpin, Jonas Valanciunas. Mm-hmm. Because now that you got Jonas Valanciunas, guess what? Zion can go and play the 4, which is his natural position.
Yep.
You see, so it's like if you do that, Now it puts Zion in honestly in a more comfortable position because now it's no longer Zion or bust.
Yep.
Now it's not like, okay, Zion, you got the ball, go figure it out. It's nothing like that. Now you got a bucket getter, well, 2 bucket getters in CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram, right? You got them, and then CJ McCollum can run the floor too. You know what I mean? Like I like I said, me personally, I would, if I'm him, I give him a shot. I don't blame him. The organization has not done you wrong yet. They have not bashed you. They haven't done anything. If anything, the only thing you can fault them for is being too cautious with you. That's the only thing you could really fault them for. But with them being too cautious, it's coming out of a good place. So,
but can you realistically blame them for being cautious with him, though?
That's the thing.
And that's why I'm saying, like, it's coming from a good. That's why I'm saying, you can't hold that against them, bro. Because you're their guy, and you're already getting injured like crazy, so they're concerned about that. And 2, at the bare minimum, they're still looking out for you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I love it because they put all the pieces around him. I think that's the one thing that they didn't know if New Orleans could do, and they've done it. They've committed to saying, look, here are the pieces. We brought in CJ McCollum, and we went to Phoenix here. Now, they're missing Devin Booker, but guess what? We're missing you. You are
Devin Booker played Game 6 in New Orleans, still almost had him.
There you go. So now you're saying, Zion, if you come in, there's not a lot of people that can handle you. When you're completely healthy, you're a problem. Even at the NBA level, your jump shot has been getting better. It looks like it's getting better. When I was looking at it, it looks like there's an actual flow to the shot. So if you can keep stacking pieces, now you're looking at Zion. Zion also saying, well, this is my only chance to make like big time money right now. Maybe get another contract if I wanted to. Because if I get traded somewhere, they don't believe in me right now. So like you said, Pride, they believe in you. They've protected you. And then to Dustin's point, they've stacked all the pieces around him. All the pieces have been there. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm there with you, and I think Zion now starting to understand that. I think now he's starting to get that, like, because originally he would always duck the conversation. You would always hear reports that he was thinking about going elsewhere, whatever the case may be. But I think now he's starting to understand, like, you know what, this place is not that bad. Like, they have a bad reputation, sure, but at least now they're trying to make amends and they're trying to do better. And again, if they do, like, if they're at least giving you an opportunity, So if I'm him, I would give him a shot. I would, because especially how young you are right now in your career, another team will always take a chance on you.
And another thing that Zion doesn't have realized yet too, which I think he's starting to realize now, Chris Paul is what made New Orleans when Chris Paul was there. And even though he's not there, you still see how that city embraces Chris Paul when he is there because of how much love and respect they have for him. Zion, obviously I'm not going to compare the two because they're two completely different type of players, but Zion has the ability to be the next Chris Paul in New Orleans, where if he brings New Orleans back to respectability on a consistent basis, the city's going to love him forever. And the city's going to respect him forever. And I think that's kind of what he's starting to realize now, where he has a chance to be a New Orleans legend by staying in New Orleans and helping them get back to respectability.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he can have that CP3 impact, it is going to be incredible. Guys, thank you so much for being on ASAP Recap Pride. Dustin, thank you so much for being here every week. Chat, thank you guys. I think Gritty put in the chat box what's happening with Trevor Bauer. What are your guys' reactions? If you go to the very beginning of the playback, you'll find out because Pride broke the news live on the air. 2-year suspension for him. Pride, thank you so much. Dustin, thank you so much. Had it a blast like always with you guys.
Yes, sir.
Any last words you have for the people?
Don't let me down today, NFL draft. Don't let me down. You got me all excited yesterday. What do you have in store for us on day 2?
Absolutely.
You said 2? What's the number after 2? 3? Celtics in 3.
Celtics in 3. There you go. And with that, have a great weekend, y'all.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365 5, we making the plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.